that women have such opportunities to involve in so many in career, in social responsibilities. So from your experience, do you find that women has limitations in their physical and their mental, since they have to take care not only the career but also the families? Do you find and how you overcome and help them to work through?
You want me to speak first? I'm going to give you an experience as an NGO because we find the same problem. Okay, correct. Especially, I'm sorry, what's your name, dear?
I'm Irene.
Irene?
Yeah.
We have a lot of women who are so interested to do social work, okay? So being a social, it's like you, Irene.
Yeah.
But they have got their husbands, their children, they're going to be at home to cook, and they have to go for marketing and all that, okay? We realize that, okay? And so in our whole structure of the organization, okay, or even our own club, for example, we invite them to contribute ideas, we invite them to contribute their energy, because in between, they can be the people who, what we'll call push up the logistics, but not necessarily need to go and be on the ground. Okay, so in a sense that they are what we call not the ones who sit in the meeting and do all that, but we are called friends of projects. So when we do a project, for example, then they will come in for that project. Not necessarily they have to be involved in the whole administration or the running of all the club's projects, but project specific. Okay, so it gives them a taste of being satisfied too, of being involved, but at the same time not taking out all their time, because we totally recognize this. So, you know, we are also, as an organization, wanting to attract younger women into our organization, because obviously, if you look at the average age, you know, it's about 45. That means we have women who are 30 or 35, but we've also got women that are 72, 75, you know, and they're still going strong. So that's where we're trying to bridge the gap, because the younger women have different needs, they have got different responsibilities. So this is where our organization is evolving, even to try and find young membership, but making them be wanting to stay on and not giving up their hope.
So how about the Coca-Cola, your culture? Do you have a basic requirements for women who involve in your program? Do you set any guidelines for them?
No, I mean, in terms of our organisation, we've done a lot. I talked about the Women's Leadership Council, which I set up for the Global and the Pacific. What we're finding is that, and you all know the stats, that women leave education equally well educated as men. They enter the workforce, and actually in our pipeline, in our organisation, are equally well represented as men. But then women, as they get older, or maybe decide to have children or have other commitments that are on them, that we find that we're losing a lot of women. So the retention policies that I mentioned before become really key. The first thing is women are no less capable at that point. They are incredibly good at multitasking, so they can still do the role. But what we're finding is women kind of can doubt themselves whether they can do all of that balancing act at that time. So some of the things that we focused on is about the enabling culture, to say, yes, it feels different now. Yes, you're at that stage of your life where you might be weighing up some options, but Coco is a place where you can have a career the whole way through your career. And actually a lot of the enabling cultures, like more flexible working styles, technology really helps in terms of, women will, may need to go and pick up the kids, for example, but then they'll get back online again and work in a more flexible way. So we've embraced the discussion on women may want to work differently, but actually we found that our male counterparts, women who don't have kids, actually have all the same needs. They probably just don't have the requirements. So for women it becomes an imperative. That becomes, it needs to work this way or it's not possible. But when you make those change in your workplace, you realise that it makes a better workplace for everyone, men, women, genders, ages, generation, it makes a difference. So I think that's been a real focus. And I mentioned very briefly the Women in Leadership programme. That's actually for people coming into moving into leadership positions, to enable women to focus on themselves and see the benefits of themselves and what they bring. Because what we also find is, in terms of women going for roles, a man is 50% sure he can do a role. He'll kind of go, hey, I'm ready, I can do that role. Whereas a woman would say, I need to be 120% ready and then I'm ready to do the role. So we also work, help women realise their potential as well, realising what they can deliver as well. So those are kind of the two elements.
Yeah, thanks.